Hi, welcome back to my channel. If I sound a little sick in this video, it's because I am. Don't worry, it's not COVID. It's Omicron. I'm vaxxed and boosted, so like my only symptom's been a stuffy nose. But, you know, still sucks. And now I can get into the rest of the video. They just let anything be on the TV in the 2000s, especially when it came to reality TV. Date My Mom, Baby Borrowers, Black White. I love that so many shows from this era have titles that are also questions. Of course, there's So You Think You Can Dance, which is a little judgmental, but a lot of the questions sound like they were asked by someone who just got out of a coma or suffered some sort of traumatic head injury. Are you hot? How'd that get on my plate? Extreme Makeover, Home Edition. How'd they do that? One show that was not a question, but sure did raise a lot of them, was called Kid Nation. It was on CBS, and the premise of the show is you take 40 kids aged 8 to 15, and you put them in a ghost town in the middle of New Mexico, and you go, all right, figure it out. There's obviously more structure than that, but at its core, that's what the show is. It has taken over my brain, and I cannot stop thinking about it. The host is a guy named Jonathan Karsh, who prior to this directed a very serious documentary about a family of children with disabilities, and it won multiple awards at Sundance. I don't know how that job led to this one. Just the existence of this show is so weird, and I would give so much to be in that boardroom when they pitched the show. Those pesky writers might go on strike by the end of the year. We need more reality TV. Tom, Jonathan, you said you had something? Yes, well, you're familiar with Lord of the Flies, the novel about a group of British boys who try to self-govern and it becomes their own undoing. Well, we were thinking, what if we did that in real life? Well, that sounds like a terrible idea. Yes, what would you like to call it? Well, it's about a town completely run by children. So we were thinking of calling it Kid Nation. Okay, hold on. They're running a town of 40 people. Even calling it Kid City would be a bit of a stretch. Well, they're setting up a government, which is what nations have. And they're proving whether or not kids have what it takes to run an entire country. And how are they going to prove this? By competing in games and challenges, the same way every other nation was formed. Artificially, and for the entertainment of an at-home audience. Perfect. How much money do you need? The show starts with all the kids on a bus being driven towards the town where they will spend the next 40 days. Or rather, they are driven to some random clearing a few miles away from the town.
Well, say goodbye to that school bus and say hello to the middle of nowhere.
I don't know why they couldn't just drop the kids off in the middle of town. I don't know why they said, hey, you're going to have to walk a few miles before you get to the middle of nowhere. But I'm not the one in charge. I'm just the one watching it.
Bonanza City is just a few miles that way, and you're going to be there for the next 40 days.
Also, the town is called Bonanza City. That's genuinely what it's called. Why couldn't they go somewhere with a normal fucking name? And then 4 more kids come in via helicopter. And these are going to be the town council to start. We've got Mike, who's got huge, you just disrespected a future US Army soldier energy. He spends about 90% of his time on the show beefing with Greg, who is the oldest kid.
Everybody be quiet again!
You need to take control. You need to let people...
We are!
There's Taylor, who wants to bring world peace to Africa and Iraq.
If I can make this a better world, I'd bring world peace to Africa with all the orphans, especially to Iraq, and that'd be the #1 place that needs world peace.
I can't make fun of a 10-year-old this early. Maybe later, but not now. Anjay is a spelling bee champion, and Laurel is the most Boston I have ever heard a child be ever.
I went with the green because I am 100% Irish.
I'm so torn, like more so than I've ever been before.
Like, I've heard adult massholes talk before, but I guess I always thought that they started talking that way later in life. I didn't realize it could set on so early, which I guess is a stupid thing to say. You get your accent when you're a kid, you don't pick it up later. And it's not just the kids that they drop off in the middle of nowhere. It's all of their supplies, too.
Behind me are wagons filled with 40 days worth of Frontier supplies. You guys are going to grab a wagon and get started. It's a long hike.
So they have to drag wagons full of their own stuff that they brought onto the bus, and chickens and canned food. And they have to drag that for miles. Who signed off on this?
Good luck, you guys. See you when I see you.
Well, I'm sure as hell not walking to Bonanza City. I'm getting in that helicopter. But I will see you when you guys get there. Good luck, kids. They keep saying that the show is about building a better world and making Bonanza City a great place for people to live, and about the kids coming together.
Now 40 new pioneers will try to fix their forefathers' mistakes and build a town that works.
If we're gonna make a town succeed, we all gotta work together.
And can the council possibly keep everyone smiling long enough to build a better world?
On this site in 2007, young pioneers came together to do what their forefathers could not, build a better world.
But the show is constantly undercutting that message whenever it can. One of the first things that happens when they actually reach the town is the council visits the town hall to read out of this book that was left by the old founders of Bonanza City before it went under. But believe it or not, I don't think this is a real primary source. It gives them some sort of a prompt or a task to do for the day, and then they go and tell the town what the book said, and everyone always freaks out about it.
So in order to make it work, we had to split you guys up into 4 different districts.
What? And we've kept friends together.
We tried to keep friends with friends, and people who weren't friends, we tried to split them up.
In the first episode, they divide into districts, which are just colored teams for the different challenges they do. Which makes sense if you're a reality show, right? Having different teams allows group dynamics to form quickly and in an easy to follow way. It gives you teams for challenges that you don't have to decide who's going to be on whose team every week. It makes sense from that perspective. But from the building a better tomorrow angle that they're always talking about, why would you have the first thing you do divide all the kids into in-groups and out-groups? Why would you want to force the kids into unnecessary competition with one another? The main reason for those teams is the showdown, which is just what they call the challenge they do every episode. The showdown determines which jobs each of them have for the next few days and how much money they get. There are little stores in town that the kids can spend the money they earn from the showdown on little stuff, but that's about it. And there's really no punishment for not doing your job, as proven by the Yellow District being assigned to be the cooks 3 out of the first 4 episodes. And yet, Sophia, who is a member of the Green District, was in the kitchen more than the Yellow District council member, Taylor. Sophia is one of the main characters of the show for a couple of reasons. She's always doing little things to mess with the kids, not anything like what happens between Mike and Greg, but silly little things, like designating a plot of land in the middle of the road as her own, or making a pot full of mashed up food and saying, hey, there's 50 cents in here. If you want it, reach in and it's yours. She's also one of the older kids and is way more interested in being helpful than any of the older boys.
We have a cookbook. Why don't we follow a recipe, seeing as no one here knows how to cook?
Thank you!
Okay, who wants dinner? What if we made chili and pasta? Meat and macaroni, how's that?
And she always raises her hand to say that she disapproves of the job the town council is doing, but I'll get to that later. The other thing about the showdowns is there's an opportunity to earn a group reward if everyone completes the challenge in under an hour, or if collectively they get a certain number of cans or something like that. But they're not allowed to help other groups out once they've finished in order to help obtain the group reward, which sucks. I think it might help to bring this town together if they could work together to achieve a common goal. But that would be too obvious a way to help build a better world, and that's also communism. So we can't have them do that.
Council, you're going to pay your kids in Buffalo nickels. It's what the pioneers did too. Upper class, $1 each. Merchant class, 50 cents each. Cooks, it's a little lighter. Here you go, Taylor, 25 cents each. And laborers, there's just a little bit of money here, Laurel, sorry. 10 cents each.
Sorry, you guys sucked. So you're a bunch of broke bitches this week. So based on how well your team does during the showdown, you get separated into different jobs. You're either the laborers, the cooks, the merchants, or the upper class who make the most. and don't have to do anything. And then we get to see the kids doing their various jobs and spending their buffalo nickels on root beer and candy and Shakespeare plays, you know, Old West stuff.
Henry V, Julius Caesar, or Henry VIII.
Each episode ends with the town hall meeting. They ask if people think the town council is doing a good job, which again, Sophia always says they aren't.
If you're not happy with the council, raise your hand.
What's making me really angry is that a lot of people aren't willing to do the dirty work.
Sophia, we're trying our best to clean the dishes, but there's like so many and it's gonna take us a while, but we're trying our best.
The dishes needed to be washed. If that's not the council's fault, then they're doing a great job. If that is the council's fault, then I have a little problem with the council.
Sophia was complaining. Well, geez, shut up.
She thinks the people in the kitchen should have to wash the dishes in the kitchen? What a nag! Town hall item number 2. They can't hold these children there against their will, so they have to ask, would anyone like to leave Bonanza City? But they don't ask it like that.
Does anybody want to go home? This decision is irreversible. You can't change it, so I hope you really mean it. Do you want to leave this entire experience and go back home? I have a question to ask, question I ask in every town hall meeting. Are you all committed to building Bonanza City and making a better world? Or is it too hard for some of you? Is the criticism too much? Does anyone want to go home?
Do you really want to leave behind all the hard work you've done and be a little quitter baby? Do any of you want to make a decision as stupid as leaving this incredible town? And then after that, they award one kid a gold star for their hard work, just like elementary school. And just like in elementary school, earning a gold star means you win $20,000. So that's nice. And then that kid gets to make a phone call home and say, hey mom, I got $20,000. And the mom goes, what?
I just won $20,000! What? Are you kidding me?
And then that's the end of the episode. Oh, but they don't use a phone like this. They use a phone like this. From then on, each episode follows the same format. Cold open. Read from the book. Tell the others what the book said. They all panic. Follow the kids doing their tasks. Do the showdown. Show kids doing their new jobs and spending their new money. Town hall meeting. End of the episode. That's literally all of them. And now that I've explained that, I can talk about the parts of the show that are just funny. When they first make it to town, they've been dragging stuff for miles like pack mules. And they're figuring out what to eat. This happens.
You gotta wait for the water to boil.
I would say it's boiling.
You would? You would say that's Is it still too early for me to make jokes at the expense of children? Yes. So much of this show is just children yelling or applauding or both.
Are you ready?
And I love that. That's great on its own. But it's even better when you get to see what the kids are so excited about. I'm positive that some of these reactions were taken from another part of the day to give the illusion that these kids were as excited about an arcade as they are about toothpaste.
Toothbrushes, toothpaste, mouthwash, floss.
Taking clips out of context to build a narrative is a huge part of what reality TV is. But I wish they would have gone further with how boring some of the prizes are. All right, kids, gather around. Now, for completing the showdown in under 1 hour, you guys have won a group reward. Like every other reward, it's a choice. Now, you can either have the entirety of Disneyland airlifted from Orlando and brought right into the middle of Bonanza City, free for all to use. Or you can have this. Your very own Pioneer vacuum cleaner. I wanted to get a vacuum cleaner because the roads are so dirty, and if we had a vacuum cleaner, we could just vacuum it up instead of having to sweep. There's a whole episode of the show about religion, And I wish that was a joke. And the kids say some mean and offensive things, but they're kids. They're not bigots. They just don't know any better.
You guys have too much in common.
Because we're both Jewish.
I'm Christian. Christian rule.
Yeah.
At the what?
Jew crew.
Oh, I am.
Jew crew. Yeah, Jew crew.
No Christians.
Can I tell you guys the true meaning of Hanukkah? Before
We go
Hanukkah,
to war and you guys celebrate it. Didn't got a good enough. Shut up. I don't want to hear it again.
that's not what it's about.
I know a little brief overview about Jewish, and but I seriously have no idea what Hinduism is. Like, I don't know. Do they worship spirits or something? I don't know.
But why did the producers go, okay, kids, now that we're all around the table, I want you all to talk about your religious beliefs and why yours are the only correct ones. Ready? Go.
Would you put Democrats and Republicans in the same room together?
Yes.
That's like putting Hindus and Christians in the same room.
Oh, okay, so it's very doable. And then the town tries to force the kids to go to a mandatory religious service. Again, why did the producers come up with this idea? After a couple of council meetings where just Sophia and one or two other kids raise their hand to say they don't approve of the job the council's doing, a lot of kids disapprove of the council, and they hold elections to elect new leaders. This gives Zach an opportunity to lead the Yellow District. He's one of the most likable kids on the show. He's kind, he's funny, and he's hardworking. His speech announcing his candidacy is incredible.
Girls and boys of Bonanza City, I'm sure we've all heard the term over and over again, deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting tired of deal with it. Now, you say that, Taylor, you have admitted that you have been lazy.
Right.
I am going to agree with you on that. It's not about saying I'm gonna do better in the future. It's about doing, not saying. Don't tell me that you're gonna vote for me. Tell me that you agree with me. Am I not right?
Kind of a weird pause in the edit at the end there, but he's got such gravitas. And before he gives his speech, he talks shit about the incumbent's speech.
Taylor's speech was very unprepared. She's asking for a second chance, and she's had so many chances.
And then he wins the election. How could he not? And in the red district, Mike, who says his opponent has no chance of winning.
I think that as a leader, I'm doing a good job. So, I'm not that worried. Guylan, who on the first day addressed me as sir, that's dumb. We're saying that you want to be a leader, but in my eyes, you always seem to follow so easily.
Loses, which is so cathartic. He doesn't just lose. The only vote he got was from himself.
First vote, Guylan. Mike. Guylan. 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 Guylan.
The only bit of the show that my mom remembered is the showdown from episode 6, where the kids have to pick up cans from a big frying pan filled with 1,600 gallons of beans and a bunch of real-life pigs running around it, which is gross. But grosser, there was a challenge where all the kids had a big paint-by-numbers painting, I guess you would call it, and in order to fill it out, the kids would have to chew up gumballs and then hand their chewed up gum to their team leader and have the leader put it on the board in the appropriate place. Obviously, over the past 22 months, societally, we have sort of reevaluated what we find gross. Like blowing out the candles on a birthday cake and getting your droplets all over it. Or handing a friend a water bottle that they could drink a little something out of. Or, I know when I ride the subway, I'm very acutely aware of which hand I grab onto a pole with, so that if I ever have to move, I know, okay, this is the dirty hand. This is the hand of filth and disease that will then touch the next pole that I have to grab onto. But this challenge is gross by any standards.
Disgusting.
Here's one for you, Zach.
Yes!
Zach with handfuls of other people's chewed gum.
They should not have done it. Ever.
Gross.
At one point, they mix up the teams, and as with everything else the town council does, The kids are not happy about it, which leads to the red team yelling at their leader.
How do you guys know that it's a bad decision? Because nobody is happy.
The only problem was
I can just give you one piece of advice. Lock your cell door tonight.
There is something extremely funny and extremely threatening about a child with a sharpened lollipop issuing you a mafia-style threat. First I'm sour, then I'm sweet. Wait a second. What's that?
the job board is on fire.
No more Buffalo Nickels and no more job classes.
Maybe this finale is pretty good.
Run, get back in water!
Wait, no, what are you doing? Don't put it out, you're free! In the finale, they make spaghetti and sauce for a big final Bonanza City bonanza. But I hope the food that the kids made is not the food that they end up having to eat. Because it does not look good.
Take it out.
Or really edible.
This is the last part.
All right, Nathan, go.
Good.
Are we down?
That's it.
+1. Great party. And you know what will make it even more special? Special guests.
What?
That you haven't seen in 39 days.
The bus driver from the first episode is back? Oh, no, they get to see their parents, which is sweet. They give away 3 bigger gold stars worth 50 grand each, but other than that, the finale is just like, wow, you guys sure did live here for 40 days. Man.
A Kid Nation proves that kids can build a community.
How?
Kids can do things on their own if they try.
How?
After spending 40 days with these incredible kids, I have a lot more confidence about the future of this country and the world.
How?
We're not just kids. We're more than that.
How does it prove any of that?
We have brains, we have opinions, we have real minds.
Okay, it definitely proves that children have opinions. But was anyone doubting that? Was anyone like, man, if you would have told me before I watched this show that kids had opinions, I wouldn't have believed you. But now, after seeing them bicker with each other over every little thing, I guess they really do have their own little brains. The show only ran for 1 season, but the second season was in development and did have a cast of kids picked for it. The application for that second season is quite extensive and can still be found online. Obviously, you've got the kids' name, their age, where they're from. But then you get to parents' occupation in 2 words, which feels like a strange parameter. What if you're a 5th grade teacher or an assistant sound mixer? How religious are you? Who did your parents vote for in the last election? Did you think that was a good choice or a bad choice? Have you ever gotten in trouble at school or with the law? Pretty sure the answer to that one is yes. Because who hasn't gotten in trouble at school? I got into a fight in the 2nd grade. And by that I mean I was playing soccer and some kid and I kind of bumped into each other the wrong way and we like squared off a bit and looked at each other. Now the other kid started chanting fight. And then we were sent to the principal's office. It's all good though. We were peanut butter and jelly for Halloween the next year. By far the weirdest question is, do you have a girlfriend or boyfriend or do you have a crush on anyone? If so, tell us about him or her. How saucy. Thankfully, the first season does not push any romance storylines because these are children. They're children. My biggest question with the second season that will never be answered is what were they going to do to raise the stakes? Because every reality show, when it goes from season 1 to season 2, has some new element designed to make it even more epic than the season before. So were they going to go to like an abandoned, more modern city? Or like, would they go to Prohibition era Chicago? It's Prohibition era, so everyone knows that they're not drinking. No one drank during the Prohibition. That you weren't allowed to. And instead of districts with different colors, each of the kids is loyal to one of the different mob families in the city. That could be fun. Or would they have them go somewhere even less industrialized? So like when they drop them off in the middle of nowhere, that's not them dropping them off far away. That's just them dropping them off where they're going to spend the next 40 days. And instead of getting goats and cans of beans and wagons, this season they get lumber and hard hats and fined for their inevitable OSHA violations. The thing that makes this show so compelling is the kids. I don't mean like the characters on the screen or what made you want to watch. No, like if it was adults, it would just be a run-of-the-mill reality show with 4 teams competing in challenges. But with the forced drama of putting all these kids into a town where they're constantly having to do all of the work, coupled with the emotional drama of approaching or going through puberty, things bubble up and come to a head very quickly. There is pointless bickering and petty squabbles, but there's also just genuine kindness and compassion for one another, and the combination of those two things is generally enough to fill a 40-minute episode. But the reliance on children is also what makes this show feel so dystopian. It's not every day that I get to talk about something that's Wikipedia page includes the subsection treatment of children and broader legal implications. And those are a lot of the reason as to why they didn't get a second season. CBS didn't want to get sued. You can't really find a balance between we're just filming the children and whatever happens, and we're keeping an eye on them and making sure that they're staying safe and not getting into any unnecessary danger. Swing too hard one way, and someone might, I don't know, accidentally drink bleach. But if you swing too hard the other, then you lose the reality of your reality show. They tried to thread the needle, but it just wasn't going to happen. The show feels like an experiment from like the 50s or the 60s, where there's no way people would sign off on it now. But because of the time it was created in, it was somehow allowed to happen. And it will never happen again, thank God. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, and you wouldn't mind leaving a like or subscribing, I would really appreciate that. I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and you do not suffer the same fate that I have. Really starting 2022 off strong. Luckily, I don't think it can go anywhere but up from here. Knock on wood. I don't want to be proven wrong. Again, thank you so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.